Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Remain Indoors podcast, where we'll be looking at some light news from around the internet, having a grumble when required, and talking about the ways we're keeping ourselves entertained indoors. Remain Indoors. Brought to you by Snacky Spars. Ask your doctor if Snacky Spars is right for you. And all of that was to prove to Matt that I could do a perfect American accent to introduce the show. Bet one, hand over your $10. No? You don't like that?
It was, as someone just said, Dick Van Dyke Geordie accent. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Snacky Spars may cause faintness and death. Always read the label. There we go. Perfect, mate. Easy. Anyone can do a Yank accent. You've just got to get really wildly excited.
Dunning-Kruger of accents.
I'm too stupid to tell that my accent is terrible. It's so bad that in my head I think it sounds fine.
But it's about 9 different regions plus a little hint of Irish in there, if you ask me.
I'm just trying to find the most excited person I can. I think it might be from South Park. I might have done the Canadians from South Park. Hey, buddy, I'm not your friend, guy. I might have just accidentally slipped into that. But I was just saying to the live chat that the reason I have you on is not because I like you or I think you're good. It's just I associate the American accent with it being like proper and on the telly. And that's why we have you on.
Yep. And again, I point out after your introduction, it is a singular talent to sound like an American authentically.
A talent that I clearly have. Good. Well, that's the end of this podcast. Right. No. I've got the ultimate 99ing, Matt. I've got the ultimate 99ing for you. Ooh. The worst ever 99ing I've ever had. And before I do the 99ing, let's introduce today's guest. It's girl running late, Lauren Thomas. Firstly, hello. And secondly, do you know what 99ing is?
Hi and no. No idea.
Okay, so don't be frightened. It's nothing terribly exciting or rude. 99ing is the concept, and I'm sure you do this to your husband, by the way, definitely. So this is totally sexist, but it's definitely always women and wives that do this. Do you ever, he's got a task, like he's got to put up a drain pipe or something, and then he'll do it, it'll all be bolted in, and then you'll come in and go, oh, you slightly scraped the brickwork there. It's basically, you missed a bit.
You've not met my husband. There's no way he is missing a bit or scraping anything. I am the slapdash one. He is a perfectionist. Does not happen in our household.
Okay, that is...
Or maybe it does in the reverse.
That's the complete opposite then of our household, where I'm constantly 99 and I've yet to ever complete a task successfully. However, let me start the show by telling you about this ultimate 99ing. So, we had an estate agent come to our house. And as I said to the guys pre-show, and I'll explain later, this could be the last ever show from the Little Blue Shed. More details later. Estate agent was coming round to value the house. And it was all down to me. In my head, he's coming around at 2 o'clock in the morning. Wife's out all day. I'm like, right, I'm going to make this house look clear, clutter-free. It's going to be tidy. And I spent hours digging everything out, all the surfaces, putting away things we didn't need, like cat toys, everything up in the loft. And with a couple of hours to spare, I'm like, good, I'll go and do some work. So I go into the shed, Matt, and I come out, and wife's there going, oh, you're welcome. Well, what do you mean you're welcome? She goes, well, I tidied up. Well, what do you mean you tidied up? She went, well, I tidied up for the estate agent. What do you mean? She goes, well, I came in and I've got it all ready for the estate agent. She came in and thought that I had literally done nothing and I had been at it for hours, and she thought she had done the prep for the estate agent coming round.
Well, that's pretty normal in my experience.
I just don't... I walked out the house and it looked as tidy as it could be, Lauren. I obviously don't have the touch or whatever. And then when I came in, I couldn't identify what else it was she'd done, but it was just much, much better. And I couldn't put my finger on it.
You're asking the wrong girl. Sorry, I can't. I couldn't tell you what she's done, what magic she holds. I'm just not that person.
Good.
You know how, like when your wife or your partner goes out of town for a while, and you sort of live as you're accustomed to living without someone, and then it's the day before they come back, and you're like, I should probably clean up a little bit, maybe do some laundry, do at least some of the dishes in the sink. I used to do this.
Yeah.
Like, and I would spend hours, like white glove, I'm talking.
Mm.
And then my wife would come home and she would be like, well, clearly an attempt was made here. So thank you. I get it.
Oh, that's
And
worse.
I'd be like, I'm just like, it's not, I hate to admit to being mediocre at anything, but I will admit when it comes to stuff like that, mediocre is about the best I'm ever going to do.
That's so savage. That's even worse. Like, oh, you tried. Bless you. Being nice about it is well. I've got the feeling it's the other way around, Lauren, in your house then.
Yeah, we have kind of like different strengths when it comes to keeping things clean. He keeps certain things clean. I keep other certain things clean. I think we're a decent duo, but we do have things that just drive the other person nuts.
Mr. Phil just says, I think it's just that you're rubbish at tidying up. I don't know. I honestly felt like I'd given it a good try. I put the vacuum cleaner away after I was done and I looked around and I went, this is good. I have done a good job. We are going to sell this house for a lot of money and it will all be down to me. And she just, I guess I'm just terrible. But I do owe you, Lauren, a great deal of thanks over the last few weeks because we've got no particular place to be and you've been helping me in my kind of house hunt. And it's really dangerous when someone is looking for a property and moving. I've had this the other way as well. You end up looking for them and then you end up like addicted to like a house moving app.
Yeah, because I love Ely and I've got no plans to move. Everything that I want is here. And yet I look and I can see what I can afford somewhere else. And it's really not good for the soul at all.
No, and that's the situation we're faced with now, which is that all the COVID stuff, we talked about it at great length, it kind of killed nearly everything we need a physical location for, and it destroyed my wife's business. All hers is like moved online now, we're starting to recover, it's all good. But we don't need to live here anymore. So we can literally pick any area. And like you were saying, I'm the opposite of you, we're not like tied to an area emotionally. So we can pick anything like, if you know England, from the North Norfolk coast all the way round to Suffolk, all the way down to Essex. And it's a massive area to pick from. So like I've been using you as like my North Cambridgeshire and Norfolk consultant.
Yeah, there are certain areas that I personally wouldn't recommend. There are certain areas that I think are really lovely, but they're quite remote. So it depends what you're looking for. And then I've got all my friends are kind of dotted around East Anglia. So I know you were talking about like Colchester, for example. And I've got a friend who lives there and she loves it. Absolutely loves it. Yeah, so it just kind of depends what you're looking for, especially when you're kids.
Well, we don't know what we're looking for, but we think we'll know it when we find it, and then panic about the schools that are in that area. But I grew up in Colchester, as it happens. But we just want more space, and we're just like, well, if we can move away from London and we can find that place that's got a tatty old barn out the back that we can convert into a studio and stuff, then so be it. And maybe we can enjoy moving to somewhere with a few more rooms with a bit more space. So that's the thinking that we were, that's the idea we were going along. And the reason that this is the last show in the blue shed is because we've been told to paint the shed a neutral color. Because at the moment it's like beach colors. It's like bright blue and it looks like one of those seaside chalets. And you'll like this, Matt, with the estate agent. He said, I like that shed. It's a good structure. Gave us some suggestions to convert it into a proper office space very quickly. And then he went, paint it a neutral colour. Save those colours for when you move to Lowestoft Seaside. And we're like, oh, okay. We got told off. We're like, oh, okay. So we've gone and bought ourselves the tub of like brown. So we're going to have to paint the shed brown.
Yeah, it's always a sad thing when your personal paint gets overrun with the profit motive, I guess. But it's worth it when you're selling a house.
Yeah, neutral colours. But tell me about your little hometown of Ely and Lauren and why you're so emotionally attached to it. Now, it's quite a historic town. There's quite a cathedral in there. And you speak so passionately about it, and I'd never driven through it. So on our way to North Norfolk, we drove through it to let's have a look. What's all the fuss about? And on the way back, we drove through all the areas you told us not to drive through, which I won't name. But we drove through all of them. We were expecting like car fires and stabbings. But I'll give you my feedback on it. But Ely, oh my goodness, it's like driving through history almost. It was idyllic.
It is. It's just lovely. And the reason I think I love it so much, because I despite living in Cambridgeshire my whole life, I'd never been to Ely that I can remember.
Yeah.
And obviously I met my husband who had a house here, so I moved in. And ever since, I've just completely fallen in love with it. It's kind of got everything you need without feeling like a city, even though it is officially a city because it's got a cathedral. I think that's the rule. And you can just kind of walk everywhere really easily. So we live on the outskirts, but you're in town within 10 minutes. So it feels like a village whilst having everything you need. And then my parents moved here, my best friends moved here, my in-laws moved here. And it just kind of, it's got everything that I want. I've obviously got my running club. I've got so many friends here. I can't actually imagine myself being anywhere else.
That's the difference, you see. We've not got any mates, so we're all right. We can move everywhere. No, actually, it's more that because we've not had those roots. I've never lived anywhere for more than 5 years since secondary school. So I've always had mini lives everywhere, and I've just got friends all around the country. Obviously, from like military, everybody that I made friends with there is dotted all around the country. I can go anywhere and like go, hey, do you want to have a pint? So that's a nice thing. I don't really have what you have, which is that core community all in one place.
Yeah, and I think that's what really sells it to me, because I kind of, especially recently, I've really relied on those people. So obviously I've not really left Ely much since the pandemic started. I've had no reason to, and having those people there has made that a lot easier.
Kaylee in the chat room, hi chat room, says, has Ely got the smallest cathedral in England?
I don't think it's the smallest. I think it might be the smallest city to have a cathedral rather than the cathedral itself being the smallest, but I'm not too hot on my cathedrals.
I like those kind of stats though, because like Bury St Edmunds, I lived there for a couple of years. It's got the country's smallest pub, and you're like, oh, country's smallest pub, and it is. It's just like it's smaller than this shed, and you sort of shuffle in and get a pint, and then you go, oh, okay, and then you've got to go out again because there's no room. It's really weird and small. But yeah, Ely's like, it's clearly gorgeous. And I am jealous of you to just have that affinity for like one area and just go, I'm probably going to bury my bones here. Like, I don't have that. I always feel that urge to have mini lives, mini adventures and move on. What about you, Matt? Because you're originally from Mexico and you moved up to Canada, and, so you don't mind a move.
No, actually, well, I moved to New York when I was 20. And kind of like you, I don't think I lived any singular place more than a year or two. You live there, the lease is up, you move to a new place. And not really until I met my wife did we stay planted in a singular apartment for more than a couple of years. And, we sort of had neighbors on our floor that we got to know, but that was back in the 90s. Yeah. And then in Brooklyn, our second place in Brooklyn, we lived, it was like a neighborhood. It was a block long street. We moved down to the friendlier end of the neighborhood. They all had kids like we did. Yeah. We'd be out on the stoop. We'd hang out with the neighbors, have a glass of wine. And that was really great till the landlord decided he was selling the building. And now we've moved to another neighborhood where like I know my neighbors, but it's not that same level of being settled in. And we are much like you because of the Rona. We are like the apartment rents are dropping in Manhattan like flies right now.
Really?
So we've been on a kick of looking, because the thing with us where we are right now is the kid is in a really good high school, like a high school even you would have heard of. Like, the movie, the movie, well, maybe I shouldn't say this on the air.
I was going to say, geez. What's your sort code?
Maybe that's a bit too close. But anyway,
what's your bank sort
code?
It's
a fairly famous high school,
okay,
like nationally and internationally, and she's in it. So the thing we don't want to do, is move so far away that she can't continue attending that high school. So we're sort of still limited to New York City and its 5 boroughs. But even within there, we're like, oh look, that place has a backyard and an extra bathroom, and it's $1,000 a month less than what we're paying.
That's
now.
exactly what we've seen. We've seen that, and like I've even seen like 6-bedroom houses, because at the moment we are in a fairly modest 3-bedroom. It's like mid-terrace in a block of 4. It's a small garden. The rooms are a good size, but it is like a proper. It's all we could afford in the area near Stevenage that we moved to for a job, and then we moved there, and that's fine. Yeah, you go look up north and you're like, oh my God, that's got a whole extra tower on the top. That's absolutely incredible. But in case you can hear any background in Matt's house, it's because he needs to move to a house that has ceilings, preferably, because his current house doesn't have ceilings. and you've got workmen trying to make it so it does have ceilings.
Yeah, well, we live in a house that's over 100 years old.
Ooh.
And it's wood frame, so when it gets windy, it kind of sways back and forth. But that's irrelevant. I was just sat in here on a Monday night doing some practicing and whatnot, and all of a sudden I hear this sound like, you have cats. And cats will knock things over.
Yeah.
And sometimes cats will knock over like expensive things or breaky things. Anyway, it sounded like they had knocked the TV off of my, 5-foot dresser onto the floor, along with maybe 200 to 300 other pounds of related stuff. I mean, it was a very big noise. And I go out, and basically a third of the ceiling in our bedroom had just collapsed. It's a plaster.
Oh my God, a third. Jeez. Yeah. You don't get houses like that in Ely, do you?
The lath is hanging down, and it's quite an utter mess. An utter mess.
They wouldn't allow that.
To put it mildly.
They wouldn't allow that in Ely, would they, Lauren? They would just have that house shipped out and moved to one of the neighbouring areas.
You've seen how old some of their buildings are in Ely. Of course they do.
And anyway,
it's not the ones that I can afford.
So I drove through Ely and I went, yeah, this is not the place for me. This is way too posh. And then I drove through the other places where you said, don't go there. They're terrible. And they looked like every town we'd ever lived in, and we felt lovely and comfortable and at home. We went, oh yeah, no, that's where people like Lauren live. This is where people like us live. Let's get away from the house chat a bit. I will go back to estate agents, but I don't want it to become the house hour. You, Lauren, are a fitness guru. You're a bubbling ball of motivational energy. You guilt me into... You're the only reason I probably run at the moment, to be honest, because I know that at some point I'm going to have to face you down and explain whether I've been out running or not.
Yeah, I am basically your guilty conscience in human form.
No, it does get to that. And like, I've got this thing now on Thursdays where even though like you're only on like once a month, Thursday remain indoors, I have this panic thing when I wake up in the morning that I've got to get a run in today and go and do it, and then send you the screenshot and then have you berate me for my lack of negative splits.
Did you run this morning?
Not this morning. But I have been running regularly, and I have run this week and last week and the week before and the week before, and I'm not as fat as I posted a thing that I got back down below my COVID weight, and I was like, yay! And then I remembered, oh, I was already unhappy about how fat I was before COVID. But I've even come down like below that now as well. So it's continuing to go down. I have eaten more eggs than a hungry velociraptor. I'm just like an all egg diet all the time. I'm doing all the things you think are stupid, like fad diets and stupid things like that, because I'm just trying to crack it out.
I think I love eggs. I think that I eat loads of them as well, but your dieting is just ridiculous because you know that if you go on some sort of crash diet and then you start eating normally again, your body's going to go, hooray, he's eating normally again. Let's hold on to all this stuff in case he goes on another stupid crash diet.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just never going to start eating normally again. I don't need food anymore because I know that I'm going to be... You so are.
I can't.
And eventually one of those bounce backs is going to be the final one where I turn into all of my uncles from childhood. Because when I was a kid, like, imagine, those big medicine balls, yeah? Put like little brown heads on top of those and some legs, and that's all my uncles from when I was a kid. And I know that that's my destiny. So that is coming. I reckon by 43, that's me. Big Malteser-shaped medicine ball. But you would prefer, I suppose, that I go on one of these fancy, like, just basically healthy lifestyles with good exercise routines, such as yoga. I can't believe you're a yoga person. You seem so normal.
I've been a yoga person for years. Years and years and years.
What is the appeal? Matt, do you yoga? Do you yoga, Matt?
No, I have done yoga in the past, but I don't anymore because I don't bend properly.
See, he's too old for yoga. You are being oldest by promoting an activity that Matt, at his age of 73, cannot do.
I would say that at the age of 73, you absolutely should be doing yoga.
I just can't see how
Keep everything limber.
All right, limber. Just help me out. I see people stretching a bit and like, oh, good, they can touch their toes. I can already do that. It doesn't feel like exercise to me. To me, exercise is born in guilt. Then you run till you feel sick, and then you feel good about yourself for roughly a day, and then eat cake. That's exercise to me. Yoga doesn't seem to fit any of those parameters.
Well, as healthy as that mindset is of yours, the thing about yoga is that it gives you time to sort of think about, as for a runner, to really think about your breathing is a really good thing, because yoga is all about breathing through all of the exercises. And when you're holding a pose like a lunge or a squat for a really long time, that's a
Lunge.
great workout.
Mm.
And we all shallow breathe all the time, right? And yoga forces you to take proper big belly breaths. And for a runner, that's hugely beneficial to actually learn how to breathe properly, not just from up here all the time.
What's a belly breath?
Like, so you're breathing right from the gut, because we all breathe from up here. It's like really shallow breaths from our lungs, but you should be breathing right from deep down in your gut.
Stretch
Your
it all
breath should
out.
be much bigger. It should be a really deep breath. So your belly should be like bloating up, and just yoga forces you to concentrate on this sort of thing, as well as stretching everything out. So that if you've done like a really tough run, to actually stretch those muscles afterwards, brilliant. But it also makes you stronger if you're doing the kind of yoga where you're holding poses for a long time.
So I can do yoga after a run.
Yeah.
Oh man, no! After a run, you lie down on the floor. That's what you do after a run.
There's a brilliant channel on YouTube, and it's called Yoga by Adrienne. She's got a huge following. I think she's from Texas, and she's got so many videos. It must be like 400 videos, all for free on YouTube. And there's a whole series for runners, and there's a brilliant like runners cool down one, which takes about 10 minutes, and it's just fantastic.
I actually need to start doing that because Matt, obviously you're a keen runner as well. Do you have a good cool down routine? Because I just tend to go into the garden and just sit on the bench and like try and catch my breath back, and I'm just fully dying. I'm done. I don't stretch. I don't do any of that.
Well, my usual post run is I come in, have a glass of water, cool down, and then I do either sit-ups and push-ups and core exercises, or I do a bit of kettlebell, and then I grab a shower. That's my cool down.
That's not too bad. And Steve Stoop has just said in our Missed Apex patron Slack group, there's a fitness channel, there's a health and fitness channel, and there's just one other person in there. Oh, right, I didn't realise that. Yeah, somehow that had passed me by. I'm in the cake channel. I'm not in that channel. So how often do you do yoga, Lauren?
Oh, pre-lockdown, I was doing it pretty much every day.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes just for 10 minutes, sometimes for half an hour, depending on what I felt like I needed.
Yeah.
Then when I obviously lost my cat and I got the kittens are kind of taken over my yoga space. So I haven't been doing it as much. I still try and do it at least once a week now. I'm trying to get back into doing it every day. But it's just finding the space so there isn't like cat litter everywhere and that kind of thing.
So what benefit will I get from it? Because I know what benefit I get from eating only eggs and eating only once a day and feeling beyond hungry for a month from this food. I know what benefit that has in like cutting down fat. With yoga, what are we talking about? Strength training, core, or is it one of these general, you'll feel the benefit when you're 100 and I don't care about that.
Well, it's definitely got long-term benefits, but I think immediately, I've already said it will help you breathing when you run. I think you'll find as you run, your breathing will be easier than it was before. It forces you to stretch out those muscles. So if you're rubbish at stretching after your run, which I bet you are, I think you'll find that doing yoga will help you to stretch out those muscles that have been working super hard. Okay. And there's a lot of mental health benefits to it as well, because it's a proper like mind clearer. Yoga is all about focusing on what your body is doing in that moment, and your mind doesn't really wander.
Okay, I'll introduce you to neat malt whiskey after this, and very similar effect. But will it? My main aim is to look less embarrassing, shirtless at Center Parcs or on holiday. Is yoga going to get me there? Is it going to help me with the chunk?
Yeah, the right kind of yoga will. You need to make sure it's one of those ones where you're kind of, you're moving a lot and your heart rate is staying up at a certain level, not like the really gentle stuff. So something a bit harder.
Is there two different types then? Are they
loads of different types.
Oh right, I see. So I don't want inner peace. I want to bring sexy back.
Well, there's Bikram yoga, which is the hot yoga, which you can't really do now because I don't think now is the time to be getting sweaty in the studio with a bunch of strangers. There's Vinyasa yoga, which I think, I might not be right on this, I think that's the one that's got more of a flow, so you kind of keep moving through the movements instead of holding them still. And then there's Hatha yoga as well. And then there's all sorts of different ones. But all you need to do is go onto YouTube, find Adrienne's channel, and there'll be like fat burner yoga routines. There'll be cardio ones. And then she's got loads of ones for like anxiety and depression and for menstrual cramps, that kind of thing. She's literally got yoga routines for everything.
Okay, I might do that. Paul Wright, who I know is an incredibly speedy 5K runner. Paul, what's your 5K time? He says his cool down is to go on a 500-meter walk. to cool down. But I think he does the 5K in about 12 minutes anyway. So yeah, well, there's no way. Is that your cat? Has your cat appeared in shot? Yay! I love it when people's cats attack the show.
Hey, Newt.
Come on, we're going to need a
Cutie
face
pie?
to the camera. We're going to need a cat head in the camera shot. Sorry, audio people.
You're going to come in. You're gonna come in. Come on, little one.
Oh,
is.
there we go. How are we settling? How are they settling in? How are the cats settling in?
She's doing good. She's doing really well because she's the one that used to hide under the chair all the time and not come out. So she's a lot braver than she was. So yeah, they're doing really well. They're insane, completely insane, but yeah, they're doing good.
Paul, yeah, his time is 14:58 is his current.
Oh,
Yeah, 5K time. I mean, you're very good at 5K. What's your 5K time?
1948.
19. That's rapid. And I was super pleased with my 20. Did I just get under 26 or did I get in the 26s? I can't remember. But I was delighted
around
with
the 26 mark.
Yeah, I was like, woohoo, delighted with that. You know. But yeah, that's ridiculous. You could lap me, Paul. You could do a 10K and lap me. Yeah. One of the concerns I have with yoga isn't it sort of like all wrapped up in the mystical, like it's like a religion, isn't it? It's all got like religious connotations, yoga.
Originally, yeah, but I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it. I think that's the beauty of yoga. You don't have to go down the spiritual side of it if you don't want to. If you want to use it as a purely functional set of movements to make your body stronger and to stretch out your muscles, you can do that. You don't have to go down the whole namaste route or anything like that.
Oh, good. So I'm not gonna get indoctrinated into something. Lauren, I will. Do you know the For F's Sake Catherine story from our Missed Apex live streams?
No,
right. So your cat interrupting us, it reminded the live stream of that. One of our panel on Missed Apex, it was just before the show started, but it was on the live stream. It was the green room type event, and he suddenly panicked, thought he was on mute, and we heard him screaming, "Oh no! I'm going to say Jeffrey. For Jeffrey's sake, Catherine! Oh, what the Jeff!" And he was going mental, Matt, and you and me were just absolutely dying laughing because he clearly thought he'd muted himself.
Yeah, it was hilarious. He went on for about 5 minutes, just like, and you could see him in the camera, like running back and forth and just like.
Yeah. And it's meant, but it was unclear to anyone, because Catherine isn't a typical cat name. It was unclear to anyone that he was talking to a cat. It honestly sounded like he just, from a very calm point of view, suddenly just started yelling at his girlfriend, who we assumed was called Catherine. And then he sits down all calm, thinking that he's been on mute the whole time. And he's like, yeah, so, I'd like to cover the topics of like breaking mid-corner apexes and stuff. We're like, no, dude, we just heard all of that. And he's like, what? You heard all of that? Like, who's Catherine? And oh, my cat, Catherine, was just sick in the thing and in the corner on the new carpet. But oh my gosh, it wasn't 5 minutes, but oh my goodness, we were absolutely rolling around laughing. So your cat has not done that, at least.
No, it's a miracle that one of them hasn't pooed, quite honestly, already. It's an absolute miracle because they do love to do that when I'm doing any kind of important Zoom chat.
Have you got fully indoor cats?
Yep.
And they're always going to be indoor cats?
Yeah, that's the plan, yeah.
See, on the one hand, I see that. Are you doing that from a moral point of view because they go and kill birds, or are you doing that because you prefer indoor cats?
It's more to kind of look after them, really. So our last cat needed to be an indoor cat because she had some health conditions, and the reason her last family gave her up for adoption is because she liked to sleep on the edge of roads. So really, it's a self-preservation thing. And we do back onto, there's basically our garden, and behind that there's a very small garden, and then there's a main road. So again, we're quite close to a busy road nearly. And so I'm just going to be the crazy cat lady who walks her cats in the garden.
Yeah, I don't know where you stand on that.
I'm okay with that.
Well, I walk my cats. Literally, our cat will come out with us for a walk. So we've got a reputation in our neighbourhood. It's like we go out for a walk, our cat follows us, and and he'll sometimes like meow because he's tired, because he's only got little legs, and we've been out and about walking for 20 minutes. So I'll have to go and pick him up, and then I'm just the guy walking around with a cat. So yeah, you can't do any worse than me. Matt, you've got cats also. Are they indoor cats? Because you're a city dweller.
Yeah, there are people with houses and backyards who will sometimes let their cats out in the backyard, but I'm gonna be able to learn on this one. I don't think I would do that unless I had the kind of enclosed backyard space that I knew they could not escape from. And since they can walk through portals to other dimensions, they can pretty much always escape from them.
True. But there's a lot of people that say you shouldn't let your cats out because they murder local bird populations. And I don't know how true that is or how much of an effect it has, because there are still birds out and about. So, like, can the bird population survive cats? I know my cats go out and about, and I know they will occasionally kill birds. So I kind of feel bad about that. It's too late, I think, for these two. It would be cruel now to keep them in. So I was considering that. If we had cats again, would we make them fully indoor cats? I don't know. But most people have outdoor cats. But Mark Greenout, we have an outdoor cat, which means we only ever really see him eat, sleep, or eat. Yeah, and that's the other thing with letting them out and about is do they go and then spend time with neighbours instead of being with you?
Yeah, and Taylor says apparently from the neighbors they hear their cat really likes to sleep under the bird feeders.
Yeah. I've seen my cat underneath the neighbour's bird feeders, like just waiting and hunting. And like you would hope over evolutionary time, there's some selection. The neighbourhood birds that are good at avoiding cats will end up having more baby chicks, and it's, you'll breed in birds that are good at avoiding cats. But our little white cat takes down pigeons on occasion. So he'll like drag a whole pigeon through the cat flap.
That's nice. I was out actually for a run, so nice. I'm going to tie these two things together for you now. I was out for a run, and I have to run over a highway on a bridge, and I'm running the other side. And as I'm running by the side street, I see this cat attack, and grab a pigeon, and all I get is this picture of like this one wing stuck way up in the air in a cat mouth. And as I'm running past this scene, I hear, "Mommy, look at the..." Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that's not my kid. I'm so glad I'm not, because that kid was like, "Mommy, look."
Our kids have witnessed cat kill and cat murder, because we have a murder corner in our thing. So whether it's a frog or a cat or a bird, it gets dragged in under the dining table to the murder corner, and my kids understand the internal anatomy of most of the wildlife in our neighborhood.
Yeah, Lucas is being horrible and dragging facts into this. And he says, according to Nature Journal, it's 4 billion birds a year murdered by cats.
Okay, well, firstly, murder. That's a strong term. That's a strong way of putting it, Lucas. But, is 4 billion a really small amount or a really high amount? How many total birds are there? If there's only 4.1 billion birds, that is a disaster. If there's 1,000 billion birds, it's not so bad.
Well, are we talking all birds, or are we talking just wild birds? Because there will be a difference there.
Exactly. Well, there we go.
Was it just pigeons that no one likes anyway?
Exactly. When he drags in a pigeon, I'm like, oh no, nice one. Well done. Look, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm always happy to be told I'm wrong. But I was thinking about it, because I've always taken outdoor cats completely for granted, and I've always just assumed that that's what cats do, and that's fine. And just like cats go and kill birds when they're outside, equally, you can rely on hipsters to do ridiculous things for high fashion quirks, for trends. And you, Lauren, I don't know how you do this. You combine running and cake seamlessly. Not only are you a great cake maker, but I've got to start with mocking you for queuing for a cake. Tell me about queuing for a cake, Lauren.
Oh, I knew you were going to bring this up, and I completely forgot. So there's a guy who makes cakes in my area, and he's based in Needingworth, which is outside St. Ives, about half an hour from Ely. And he comes to Ely Market every other Saturday.
Okay.
And he hasn't been through all of lockdown because the market hasn't really run. And he came back about a month ago, and the queues for his cake are insane. And they've had people coming from Birmingham, people coming from Dover for his cakes. He's got a massive Instagram following.
So you didn't drive out to his location. He at least drove to Ely, because this would be a worse story if you drove and then queued for cake.
I would not do that. So the market is it's a little over half a mile from my house. I hop on the bike. I'm there in 5 minutes. Get in the queue. You've got no idea how long the queue is going to take. You just see a fairly big queue that seems longer because of social distancing. Yes. 2 hours. 2 hours I queued for.
What? 2 hours?
I know. And I promised myself I wouldn't do it. I promised myself I would not do it again. And I've done it 3 times now.
At what point did you go, I might bail out of this queue? Like after 20 minutes, I would be so enraged that I'd been in queuing for cake for 20 minutes.
I think about 40 minutes in, but at that point, it's too late. You're past the point of backing out because you think it's only going to be another 20 minutes. It's only going to be another 20 minutes.
And was it good?
It's amazing. It is the best. It is the best cake.
How good can a cake be, though? It's just sponge with a bit of slap, with a bit of icing
So
on
he's not really even doing those kind of cakes anymore. Look at him on Instagram. He's called George's Bakery, and just have a look at the stuff he's doing on there. It's just
You shouldn't have said the name.
Unbelievable.
You shouldn't have said the name because now it's going to be a 3-hour queue.
It's okay. I've got 3 bits in my freezer. I'm good. I'm good for a little while now. I've frozen 3 bits of cake, so I don't have to queue again.
Trumpets, I'd say help me out, but I think New Yorkers, in fact, I do have a cake queuing story. I couldn't believe it. In New York, our friend said, let's queue for a cake. But when I say like a long queue, we were queuing for like 15 minutes for a cake and I could not believe it. And it was just a cupcake. And I know that's like it was super trendy about 15 years ago, but it was just a cupcake. But I know you New Yorkers, you'll queue for the right. In fact, isn't it quite common to queue for meals in America?
Well, I don't know about America, but in New York, yeah, absolutely. Oftentimes the supply, the demand exceeds the supply. And yeah, usually for us, like 15, 20 minutes, but it depends. If there's a bar, then you can wait longer.
That's true. But I would never queue for, there was even like Wagamamas, they're not taking bookings, so they did first come, first serve. And there was like 3 people ahead of me. And I went like, nah, no, I'm not doing that. I was like, I can't stand it. I can't stand queuing. I'd rather do a much worse thing. Like, are you a fairground person, Lauren? Because I will nope out of a queue if there's like, if it's going to go round more than 4 times before I've got to like get on it. I'm like, no, can't be bothered. I'll just have an ice cream.
I remember queuing quite a lot when my parents took me to Disney when I was a kid. And I remember the queues for that would be insane sometimes. So maybe I've built up like a strong queuing tolerance. I don't know, but I had a good, I had a good book on my phone that I was reading, so I was quite happy. And there's a puppy in front of me called Freddie, who's really cute. So I played with the puppy for a bit.
My gosh!
And then I got cake at the end of it. And to be fair, I was buying cake for my 2 friends who are both about to have babies. One had her baby on Tuesday. The other one's due in 10 days. So I was buying cake for my pregnant friends as well, not just for me.
It's so lovely when your friends have babies because you can be like, oh, look at the little baby, and then you can go home.
It's got a bit stinky. Here you go, have it back.
Have you been able to see it yet?
No, she's still in hospital at the moment, Emma. So hopefully she'll be coming home maybe today, maybe tomorrow. And then we're just waiting for Rachel to have her little one as well.
Oh, I know I always
Very
say
exciting.
like kids don't get good. Kids don't get good until they're like 4 or 5 or maybe 6, and then you can do stuff with them. The rest of the time it's a nightmare. But newborn, like fresh print off the production line, Matt, they just... There's something perfect about them, isn't it? And like I'll admit, I melt if someone hands me a 1-week-old baby, I will just hold it and I will just sit down and I will just absorb like their life force, if you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean. We're sort of, I think, societally and chemically programmed to just respond to that sort of an object in a way that cannot be dealt with rationally, which is cool. But I will say that having had one of my own, and it's funny because like now I talk to my kid about like what she was like, because when they're below the age of about 10, 11, 12, 13, it all really changes in terms of their relationship with you. And before that, they will express such unrestricted amounts of love to you.
Wait, that's going to last forever, right?
No.
No, don't tell me that.
The process of separation adds nuance to that. They don't just go running into your arms and just. It all gets more complex.
You're saying I'm not
going to be. It's worse. But you don't get that. Just like sometimes they will just like, I love you, and just clamp on. Yeah, no, you don't really get that anymore.
Maybe I'll be over it by the time they get to that stage.
On the bright side, you get to help them solve their calculus problems.
God,
so there's something for you.
Calculus with your daughter like constantly. You're obsessed. You're absolutely obsessed with your kids' education. I'm noping out.
I'm totally not signaling to people that I'm doing complicated math and that makes me smart. That's not what I'm doing at all.
It's a flex. All of that is a flex. That's like me with
Bingo.
I'm so tired from the run I just did before doing this podcast. Oh my God, I'm
There
so
you go.
amazing. Look at my slightly less round face. Yeah, that's the equivalent.
Didn't do a run before the podcast.
That's why my face is so round and fat and bloated. Thanks for drawing attention to that, Lauren. So, look, I'm still feeling really sensitive because obviously, like, when you lose a bit of weight, you're quite proud of yourself. And so I was in the kitchen and I was like, lifted my shirt up and I was like, right, you know, when they do the belly breathing, I was like sucking in as much as I could. And I was like, wife, check it out. I'm beautiful. And she went, stop holding it in. I go, stop holding it in, you. Stop holding it in. I went, all right. So I did what you do where you sort of, you let it out, but you're still kind of holding it. You're still trying to, you know, and she's like, okay, fair enough. And I said, look, I've lost quite a lot of the belly. A lot of the belly has just gone. And she walked up to me and she went, not all of it. Yeah, another 99. She just went, yeah, she just went, not all of it. And then she put her hands around and like she exaggerated how difficult it was to like hold it. And then she sort of just wobbled it side to side and went, still a bit of chunk there. And I was like, oh, great. Thanks. So there we go.
That is savage.
Yeah, no, she's like, she doesn't care. The thing is, she doesn't care. If I was like 2 stone heavier, she wouldn't mind. But the fact that I am trying to lose weight, then she enjoys 99ing me of like, oh, still got a bit of a belly, like that, and like just jabbing at it. Wives are mean.
Yeah, you picked her.
She seemed nice.
True.
She seemed so like nice. She did a complete switcheroo. It's a bait and switch. And it's not my fault. Yeah. No one should be expected to resist the pretty singer lady if you get that opportunity. That's all I wanted to do is kiss the pretty singer lady. Now there's 2 little ones running around, there's cats, and I get yelled at and everything's wrong. Let's talk about Lauren instead with your freezer full of cake. You're like you're the crazy fake aunt that comes around. Oh, cake! Hello everyone, here's cake that I've bought. Don't worry, I've got 7 more in the fridge.
I'm not sharing the cake. Are you mad?
You're the crazy cake lady. Well, I don't know how you do it. Have your cake and eat it is what you do.
Run for cake, run for cake, run for cake.
Writing. You first came to my attention because you could write, and you wrote these beautiful long blogs, very long, really, really long blog posts.
Dude, they're like 1,000 words.
It was so long. You have to like scroll the page for ages. You may as well make it a book. Your blog posts were available from Penguin in water spoons. No, that's not what it's called. They're not called water spoons, are they? What's the bookshop called? Waterstones.
It's about Waterstones.
Yeah, Weatherspoons is more my level. But
my blogs have never been available in Waterstones.
They're that long. That's the joke, that they're really long, that they could be available in Waterstones.
They're really not that long. You're just used to these really pathetic blog posts that people will literally write 2 sentences about an eyebrow pencil they've used, and they consider that to be a decent blog post.
And a picture of them looking happy, and then a link to the affiliate link where they get a cut of it. So your blogs were just good writing about experiences, and they're still all there. They're not time sensitive. girlrunninglate.com, and that kind of brought me into your world of running and what it meant to you, and always very honest and stuff. But then you pretty much sort of gave up and kind of have just stopped writing. Like that is some.
I have not given up. I am still writing blog posts, not as often, but because I'm not getting as many experiences as I was before in terms of doing sporting events and trying new things, because I just can't at the moment. So I'm just writing. I don't want to be one of those bloggers who just writes for the sake of writing. It needs to have value. It needs to be relevant and have authenticity. So, and the fact is, if I'm not getting out there and trying new things, there's not as much to say, really. So
yeah, you don't want to just churn out old tap for the sake of it, even when there's nothing happening on your subject matter. Do you, Matt? And tune in for our Missed Apex off-season content where we relentlessly drone on about a sport that... remember when we did it for a sport that didn't happen for 9 months, Matt?
I do remember that, and
didn't miss a week.
Moment, I'm astonished that we somehow managed to attract more people to us.
I know.
Even as there was less to really say. Yeah.
Yeah, 9 months without F1. Tune into our weekly F1 podcast. I don't know what we were thinking. So I get your point there, Lauren, but you're not writing. You have been doing stuff with a tech website. You, the person who can barely operate the microphone in front of your computer.
Dude, it's plugged in. It just overheats. It overheats. It's not my fault.
So defensive. But tell us about your tech writing. Tell us about the tech writing, please, please, please.
Oh, so I write for something called Ox Gadgets, and it's just a so like you say, it's a tech website, but I'm kind of coming at it from a sporting angle. So I've written about tech that you can use for physiotherapy. I've written about, what else have I written about? Caught me on the hop now. I can't remember. I've done about my new paddleboard. I wrote about the paddleboard that I bought.
How's that tech?
Well, it's about sort of equipment.
Right.
It's not necessarily tech. It's things that you can, just general reviews and equipment and things. And I'm also going to be doing one about the fact that I'm now, lockdown made me a gamer because I'm now playing on the Switch, and I was never a gamer before.
Is this still Animal Crossing?
Yeah. So I'll be writing about that, and I've got I'm going to be reviewing the menstrual tracking apps that you can get on your phone as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, obviously the Switch one hasn't really got a sporting angle, but I'm coming at the menstrual tracker one from an athlete's point of view and why it's useful. I used to
track my wife's cycles on an app because it helped my marriage, because I could be more understanding at certain times without telling her that was the reason why I was like, yeah, no problem. Yes, no, you're absolutely right. And that kind of thing. So
she didn't know you were tracking it?
No, she does now.
That is clever.
She was very, very angry when she found out I was doing it.
That's quite thoughtful.
I thought so. I thought I was being reasonably thoughtful but the thing is, it lets you mark things in this app. It lets you mark stuff. So time when things were a little fraught, I might mark that down, and then the next time that in that period, the next time I would know to kind of back off a bit and maybe not fight every little way to pick your battles. And then when I knew she would be in a particularly good mood, that would be good times to do activities that she would like. So it actually was really, really helpful.
I feel like it might have been more thoughtful if you told her you were doing it. It's a little bit sinister otherwise.
But if I'd have told her I was doing it, she'd have been mad at me, right? She'd have been mad at me, and I wouldn't have known the correct time to tell her because I wouldn't have started the app yet.
Yeah, it's pretty much lose-lose for you, isn't it?
Yeah, the app would have told me the right time to tell her that I was going to start using that app. But unfortunately, that's chicken and egg. That's chicken and egg stuff. Taylor says, I would be a little proud if my husband thought of that. Good. And Matt Cook says, that is genius. And James Sheldon says, how long did you have to sleep in the shed? Okay, that was pre-shed. That was pre-shed. And she loves me talking about it. She loves me telling the anecdote as well. She loves me telling people about it. So hopefully she won't tune in. By the way, I'm going to have Mrs. Spanners on the Remain Indoors podcast at some point. Because she is pushing more with her social media and promoting herself as an artist on social media, something she's never done before because she's a very old lady and she doesn't understand how all the buttons work. So I'm doing it for her, but we'll be doing a series of like, go and follow her. I think it's, oh gosh, I'll put the link in the show notes. But she'll be doing some like singing to camera just with a piano. I've set her up a station indoors, and she'll be doing some like vocal warm-ups and ways to like, for everyone to improve their singing, even if it's just for karaoke or for yourself in the shower, that kind of thing. So you'll get a gutful of Mrs. Spanners, and you'll see that my impression of her is perfect. And if you guys in the chat room tell on me about the stuff that I've been saying about her, let's be cool, okay? Let's be cool, you guys. Yeah, good. Anyway,
you try to tell me she doesn't listen back. Does she not listen to your Remain Indoors podcast?
No, I don't think she listens to my gardening show. And that's the only thing that she listens to because she's interested in it. She doesn't listen to the Formula One. And no, she hasn't listened to a single Remain Indoors. I don't think. Oh, except the one that her nephew was on last week. We had Roger's Reptiles on at the end of the show, who I believe Roger's in the chat room as well. Hello there, Roger. Right. Where are we going next? I think we're towards the end of the show, actually. That has flown by. I've really enjoyed talking to you, Lauren. Where can we find the tech stuff? Where do we find all the writings?
Oh, it's Ox Gadgets, so oxgadgets.com.
Okay, and it's not all just menstrual tracking. There is also
sports
equipment.
It's loads and loads of different tech. So the stuff that I'm doing is kind of the sports-based things, but there's reviews of all kinds on there. A lot of content.
It's definitely time to go because she's got the microphone buzz. That always happens at the end of the shows with you. We get the little microphone. It's fine. It's brilliant.
It's so weird, isn't it?
And now
it's like an alarm.
And now you're on your like laptop mic and you sound really echoey and stuff. No, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like that is a feature, guys. That is not
Every
a
time.
bug. That is a feature
Every
of the
time.
show. So that means it's time to go follow Lauren Thomas by searching for Girl Running Late absolutely everywhere on the internet. Send me a link to the thing and I'll put it in the show notes, Lauren. A link to your tech stuff.
Okay, cool.
And
Link to the
do
thing.
that, to the thing. Good luck with your cats and your cake. Matt Trumpets can be found at MattPT55 or search for Matt Trumpets everywhere, Instagram, Facebook. Have you posted any pictures of your collapsed ceiling anywhere, Matt?
No, I haven't yet, but I promise that I will soon.
That's what we do. This is how you drive people to Instagram. We've been talking about a thing and then they want to see it. Like if you want to see a picture of me spread on a bed, Christian Horner style, in my Ferrari onesie, go and follow my Instagram by searching for Spanners Ready. Like that, Matt. Collapse ceilings.
Yep.
Get it posted.
Yeah. You know, it's a busy couple of days. That's all, because it's also tax day for us too, and I'm still waiting to hear from the accountant. So, and then of course, when your ceiling collapses in your bedroom, you have to move your bedroom elsewhere till it's fixed. So, you know, we've basically lost an entire room of our house, and I cannot tell you how. I will use the word cozy here, but only because we're basically safe for work.
Fair enough. At MattPT55 and search for Matt Trumpets on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Spanners. You can follow me at Spanners Ready, or you can follow the show at Indoors Remain on Twitter. Also search for Richard Reddy on Facebook, and I don't mind being your Facebook friend. Let's be Facebook friends, and I'll see when it's your birthday and go, oh, happy birthday, Derek. Now I know it's your birthday. Apart from all that, don't think we've got anything else to push and promote. Missed Apex podcast. We've got a karting series, so listen out for that. It's going to be the Missed Apex karting series, Race 0, starting very, very soon. Of course, we've got all the restrictions coming into place as well, so now more than ever, remain indoors. And don't spit on your friends, because that's the way to spread COVID. And if someone spits on your friend, you quickly run in there and you lick that spit off their face. Good friends lick COVID off of other people. No, wait, no, this is terrible. This is terrible advice. No, Matt, I'm just gonna go. I think that's the wise thing. Is just to go.
Sometimes the best thing is just to run away from the thing that you've just done as rapidly as possible. This might be that time.
Pretend it didn't happen. Hide under a blanket until it goes away.
Bingo.
Okay, cool. Oh my God, it's going to be in the news. Local podcaster. Local podcast man advises people to lick other people's faces to get rid of coronavirus. Is this the cure? Ask your doctor if licking faces is for you. Always read the label.
You're doing Cartman.
No, it's not